Ever since I was a little kid, I always knew there was something a little bit different, off, or unique, you could say, about me. I never knew what it was, I never knew why, but I just always knew that something was up. And lo and behold, I'm just a child with ADHD. Well, now an adult with ADHD. But I feel like, especially among women, this is a story that's often told too much because we as women are so invisible in the neurodivergent space, let alone imagine being a black woman at that in a predominantly white country. So I don't even need to let you know the things that I've probably been through. But I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to share my story on how at the age of 28, I discovered that I had ADHD and I got officially diagnosed. And boy, is it a story. I'm going to try my hardest to get to the point and not let this babble on for too long because I have a knack of doing that. Let's get into it. This is going to be a very raw, unfiltered video. I may cry. Hopefully I don't, because I'm a big crybaby. I hope through this that I can make others feel seen and heard through my experience, to know that you guys are not alone, that you weren't crazy. That's the whole reason why I've created my platform and my page, because I want to make others like me feel less alone, because I know how lonely it gets when no one understands you and you don't understand yourself. That's, I think, the most easiest way I can say it. Okay, let's start in primary school. I remember vividly in primary school just struggling, I guess, to pay attention. I think some of my earliest memories, I can remember staring at the window, and I remember in every single parents' evening I would get the same review in my reports at the parents' evening. She's always staring out the window, she's always daydreaming, she's always in her own world. Lo and behold, that's one of the top symptoms of ADHD. But then again, these were the early 2000s, the late 90s. So what does anyone know about anything neurodiverse, especially when it's in a way that isn't normally presented as hyperactive or lashing out, misbehaving? You're basically going to be just ticked off as normal. Other symptoms that I guess that were always there and my parents never knew and just thought even they were cute quirks. So for example, again, I was also a child that would hyperfixate on the TV, and my parents would be like, just put her in front of the TV and she won't move, she won't cry, she's just gonna be sucked in. And like they were so proud, like, oh yes, she's such a good child, just put her in front of the TV and that's it. And that's literally hyperfixation. The signs were always there, but just the lack of education of people around me, or the lack of care and attentiveness when it came to me as a child, which sucks because there were a lot of signs. A lot of people, I guess, around me weren't educated or didn't care to really put the work into acknowledge and try and support me in the ways I need to be supported. So those are like some of my earliest memories of knowing that, okay, I'm a bit weird, I'm a bit different. I even used to think to myself in third person, like, this girl is weird, as if I was like a soul and I'm in this body and it's like, this girl has issues. I remember saying that to myself, and I used to apply something like, oh, this girl is you. Like, you can't be talking about yourself like that, because you know what I mean? So there's always been a disconnect with my body and my soul, and trying, wanting to do one thing and can't doing it. There's always been this like internal battle. Growing up, I've been able to just home into my body more and like be within myself and my body. So that is something, I don't know if it's relatable to a lot of people. But yeah, like school, I hated it, because if it wasn't the teachers comparing me to other students in the class, if it wasn't them saying that I need to be in a special class, and do you know what was the worst thing about being in a special class is knowing that you're in a special class? As a child, knowing that you're with the kids that aren't seen as bright, and what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here with the special kids? Why am I here with the kids that aren't the brightest? And when I tell you, I was bored out of my mind in that class. I would answer all the questions so quickly. I would lash out and not lash out, I'll just be frustrated, because I'm just like, why am I here? I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. Not to say these kids were stupid, but they weren't the best performing in the class. And I knew that at 5 or 4 or 6 or however old I was super young. And I was just like, why am I here? Why did they put me here? I'm not stupid. I have dyslexia and ADHD. And luckily I got diagnosed at 16 for dyslexia, but no one put 2 and 2 together and decided to also diagnose me for ADHD. But before then, spelling and writing, my ability to pay attention and focus and structure sentences together weren't always the greatest, but that was due to dyslexia. So I've always been intelligent. I've always understood and got things. I've never considered myself as someone that wasn't intelligent. I mean, us ADHD people, we normally have really high IQs. So it's not an unintelligent thing. It's just the way that school system set up. It's not conducive to the brain of a neurodiverse child, especially ADHD children. I feel like that's where autistics and ADHD people really differentiate. because the way we mask in different ways. And I don't even want to get started on it. All ADHD people, you guys need a different kind of help and grace. And I'm praying for you guys every day because I couldn't even imagine that kind of dynamic. But that's why I always try to like niche down what I talk about the ADHD experience, because that's my experience. That's what I understand. That's what I know. I can't speak for autistic people. I can't speak for ADHD people. Of course, there's going to be overlap, but primarily I like to stay on topic of either dyslexia or ADHD because that's what I have and that's my experience, and this is how I've been able to navigate those things. So sending love all to my autistic peeps and to my ADHD peeps. If this helps you, hopefully you feel seen and heard by this as well, but this is really for my ADHD people. And then again, like talking about my intelligence when it comes to school, and you are having teachers screaming at you and because you're not able to focus, or teachers blatantly saying that, oh, I'm not smart enough to sit the grammar exam or go to grammar school because I'm just not smart enough, and I'm telling my teachers that I probably won't even get my GCSEs, all these different things. And in my head and in my heart, I knew I'm going to be fine because I knew my intelligence, I knew my capability, I knew what was in me. But then again, those voices of the past, of whether it's parents, whether it's grandparents, whether it's teachers, of why can't you be like this person? Why can't you do that? What's wrong with you? Everything you do is wrong. Everything you do is bad. They become your voices subconsciously in your mind, beating you up at every corner to try and make you do better and you motivate you. And it never worked. For me, it never worked. Shame and judgment and being hard on myself was second nature to me because I've just was growing up around having those negative voices in my life. But at the same time, I was able to still have ability to kind of like lift myself up. But I did have a very critical self voice and I was super hard on myself. Before I even knew I had ADHD, I used to think like, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I be like other people? What's wrong with me? Why can't I move it? Why can't I do the things I do? I know I have so much potential. I have so much intelligence that I want to share, I want to do, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's like a trap. People are like, oh, ADHD is a superpower. You guys are so creative. You guys are so this. But what's the point of in your own prison of your mind? There's no point. It's one thing to not have any inspiration and not do it, but having all the inspiration in the world and still not being able to do that, that's like a prison of your own making. And it isn't our own making. And that's why it's so annoying when people are like, oh, you're just putting it on. Why would I want to be like this? Why would I want to put myself in a situation where I can't function? What kind of sick ideology is that? Why would I ever pretend? Like, the thing is about neurodiverse, I've seen a lot of us say that we have a high sense of justice, we don't like lying, that we don't understand lying and all that stuff. I never understood the concept of lying. Like, why would I lie about something? Why would I pretend to be something I'm not? For me, naturally, authenticity, loyalty, integrity, being a very real person is very important to me. So I don't have energy to pretend to be something. Like, I don't have the capacity. My brain just doesn't have the capacity to do anything other than what I already am. And saying that, it brings me to the topic of masking and growing up having to mask so much and making my mask my personality and having to put on this high, bubbly, energetic person, because anytime I'm quiet, every time I'm just like chill, when we get into our like overstimulated or whatever mode and we're just not in the mood, we're always asking you what's wrong, and then suddenly you just decide you just need to put on this mask so people don't ask you what's wrong with anyone. It was annoying because I played that role so well that I remember at my leavers assembly for primary school, they gave me a certificate because they gave certificates for people with their own individual thing that people remember them for. They put me down as a person that was always smiling. When I tell you, I was fucking pissed off. I was just like, that's all you guys are going to remember me for? And bear in mind that that's not how I always felt. That was just a mask I put on. So it really made me feel like I wasn't even seen or heard, or people didn't even pay attention to me, which was another kind of validation. No one's really noticing. No one cares. I was like, don't worry, you're going to remember me for something else one day. You've given me this easy cop-out title. The things I'm going to do, you're going to remember me for so much more. So that was literally what I told myself as a kid, because I was like, are they being so for real right now? It was so disheartening because it was, wow, I'm really invisible. No one really knows me. People think I'm just a smiley, happy person. I'm not happy. I had severe anxiety my whole childhood, all the way into my adulthood. I had anxiety to the fact that my mum took me to the hospital. My mum took me to a children's hospital and I got a scan because my stomach was hurting all the time. And that was anxiety. I didn't know what it is, but I was just worried all the time. I was just worried. I was so anxious because I was scared that anything I did was wrong. And that just manifested in my body as stomach aches. And I would always have these stomach aches and never know why. I would have severe anxiety. I was just thinking people are watching me every single second, not being able to relax in the shower. I think people are watching me. It was like so crazy thinking about it now and how much pain and how much stress it caused me. And I'm going to go in deeper on how it's affected my health, because that pain, like, that's why people don't understand that stress, anxiety, depression affects your body and sends people to an early grave, because that's how I now ended up developing PCOS and I have gut health issues. that pain in my stomach ended up creating a dysregulated gut system because of all the anxiety. And that's why a lot of us, many ADHD people, have gut problems and gut health issues, as well as women with PCOS. And PCOS ends up being developed because of all the anxiety and stress and all the gut problems that we have. And we get cysts on our ovaries. People don't understand that this is a real thing. The stress and the anxiety that comes with being ADHD and navigating this world kills us. It's destroying our bodies. And so unknowingly having stomach aches all the time, not knowing what's wrong, and that was anxiety. And you go into the hospital, going for scans, said there's nothing wrong with me. And I just had to manage it the way that I knew how to manage it, navigate it the way I knew how to navigate, which wasn't well because it's like I didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was normal to feel physical pain in my stomach all the time and feel so anxious all the time, and it wasn't. So now I'm going to go into secondary school and how I ended up in year 11. So I managed to mask all the way through year 11. And I managed to get diagnosed with dyslexia. So I thank God for this teacher every day, because what happened was I ended up in my final year of secondary school in year 11. I ended up falling in English into a lower set. And when you're in the lower set, I don't know if they still do it back in the day, you only get to do one English GCSE when the standard is 2. English GCSE, there's English language and English literature. And then me being in that lower set group would have only allowed me to get English language and not the literature GCSE. And 5 GCSEs are like the minimum. So I did science and additional science, maths and English. And I wasn't going to be down to do English literature because I ended up falling into the lower set. And I was so distraught. I was like, what do you mean? So I worked my ass off. I worked with the teachers. I ended up reading the books by myself to try and get up into the next semester into a different set because I needed to do English literature. What do you mean? I'm not supposed to be in this class. And lo and behold, I got to move up a set, thank God. But the thing that was annoying about that situation as well is that I was in top set for maths and science. So how no one realized that this girl's in top set for science, she's in top set for maths. What's going on with English? The fact this is why system doesn't care about people. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, so that was already should have been like red flags that, oh, this girl, there's probably something going on. Because I was getting A's in science, B's in maths and stuff. It was just English that I struggled with due to being dyslexic. So I ended up moving up, thank God. I ended up reading a whole book on my own, not with the class, because the class that I was with at the time wasn't reading it because they were the lower set. And my teacher was like, they've already started reading this book. So by the time you move up, you need to read this book by yourself. As a dyslexic child with ADHD, undiagnosed, read the whole book by myself because I was just so determined. I was like, I need to have that extra GCSE. So I ended up reading the book. I'm like, thinking back, I'm so proud of myself. So yeah, I ended up reading that book all on my own. I think it was of Mice and Men or Inspector was one of them. And my teacher was like, she gave me my coursework. I did the first draft of my coursework and she's like, you need to read over it, you need to do this, you need to do that. She gave me some tips, didn't read, not much. Went home, read over it again, gave it to my dad to read it again, and then I gave it back to her. And she was like, wow, this is really good. This is an A now. Like, I don't know what it was before, but it's an A. I got an A in that coursework. And she's like, are you sure you're not dyslexic? And at first I was really like taken aback and I was just like, I don't think so. But then once she started talking, I was like, it wouldn't make sense why I've always struggled with English and, I've never, you know what I mean? And I was like, maybe this is the thing that I've been searching for. This is the thing that has been holding me back because I knew there's something wrong. I knew there was something going on with me. So she told me this and then I went home, obviously, and told my parents, and my parents being Africans, they were born here, but they are still pretty much aligned with, the stigma of being different. And they were like, oh, no, we don't want you to get diagnosed. They won't employ you. They'll, it's a stigma, all these things. And I was just like, I need help. Like, I could get extra support that I need. I could get extra time in exams. I could get, so much support. And I really needed to, maybe this was the thing, because I used to have tutors growing up my whole life. Like, my parents gave me a tutor for study, but they never supervised me or paid attention with my homework or anything. So it basically went to waste. But because I was under the age of 16 at the time, so they couldn't, they weren't legally allowed to do the test on me. So I was, sad about that. But then luckily, gratefully, God always watches out for me, and, universe always has my best interest in heart. My mom was given a book because my mom used to fly back and forth from Nigeria a lot. And she was given a book from someone that wanted to send it to Nigeria. and that book was on dyslexia. So yeah, and my dad and my mom, they saw that and they just took it as a sign that they should just allow me to get the test done. They said it was a sign from God, and they did a bit of research on it to understand, what I was going through. So honestly, I'm so grateful for that, and I ended up being dyslexic. So, which was great because then I was able to get extra time in exams and extra support from the school. So that was me in terms of like being dyslexic. But again, no one realized I had ADHD at the time because obviously it shows up in women differently and no one's really cared about the inattentive type. So fast forward, I go to uni. I had to get tested again because apparently the one wasn't the standardized one. So I had to pay like £200 to get tested at my uni. Got the support I needed, had weekly mental sessions. They gave me all the equipment and stuff. But again, none of those professionals could see that maybe I also had ADHD because 45% of people with dyslexia also have ADHD. Like they normally come together. So it's just, whew. But then again, it was a different time. But it's just like, these are professionals. You think they would be able to distinguish that, let's also get you tested for dyslexia. I could have been able to find ways to work with my ADHD when it comes to revision, because till this day, I don't even know how I ended up revising for uni and getting through it. It was so hard. Coursework was easy. I love coursework. But when it came to exams, exams are the worst. I never understood exams because it's like you are being judged for like the rest of your life on an hour of your life that any thing could have happened to you. You could have had a bad day. You could feel sick. How you perform in that hour on that day is to determine your grade for the rest of your life, and that's what people are going to see you as. I don't understand that because in real life that's never the case. You're always going to have time to provide something. You're never going to have to do something in an hour with no internet, with no computer. Like when I tell you, like the school system's so outdated, just in general, and it needs to change. But that's another story. I raw dogged university only with a diagnosis for dyslexia. Went into the workplace and I ended up meeting a friend who we got along so well. And I didn't know why, but he was a twin. But I always said that we were twins because we were just so similar. And years go by, we both end up leaving that place and we end up meeting up. And he's like to me, he's like, I think you have ADHD because I have ADHD. And it would make sense why we are so, we are so in sync. Like our brains, like we just get each other. You know what I mean? We just get each other the way people don't, like other people just didn't get us the way we got each other. And I've always like loved our relationship dynamic like that because I just, we've always kind of like saw each other. And he was like, yeah, I think I have ADHD. And but prior to that, us meeting up, I was seeing like videos on TikTok and things about ADHD and stuff. And I was just thinking like, wow, I have a lot. This is like, I thought I was unique. I thought I was special. I thought I was different. I thought I was quirky. And no, baby, I just had ADHD. And it's like, I'm going to look into this more. And I looked into it more. I was trying to get on the list to be diagnosed. Even now I'm thinking about it, even before that, my ex-friend's sister also got diagnosed. Like she was already medicated. This was prior COVID. She already had a diagnosis and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I think you may have ADHD as well because she has it and like we're kind of similar as well. But I tried to go to my GP as we all do. And before I even started my journey on ADHD, I also then started my journey for understanding why I had super irregular periods, because that was how I started my health journey. Because for my whole life, as I mentioned before, I've had irregular periods ever since I started my period. I would have it like twice a year, once every 6 months, and sometimes I would have like serious severe pains, which I found out also on TikTok, no thanks to my GPs and doctors when I went to them and asked them for it. I had cyst eruptions when the cysts in my ovaries would erupt and I'll throw up. I'll going to the toilet. I'll have excruciating pains, the kind of pains that make you wish you weren't a woman. It was so bad, guys. Like, there was a woman, thank God I found her on TikTok. She put into words what it was. This was recently, like after I've already like kind of healed my ovaries and stuff, and now that I'm regular. But before, I never knew what it was. When I was a kid, I used to have them. What's your doctor? They was just like, just take painkillers. Like, they don't care about people. You already know. Like, it's been bad. So yeah, so I had all these issues. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting older. I'm getting into my late 20s. Like, let me go to the doctor and actually get this. Because before, I was like, I don't care that I don't have my period every month because I don't want my period. Like who wants a period? Like, it's stressful. Like, I didn't want to do that. So I just lived my life. I would change my diet sometimes and it would be a bit more regular. But I would have like less, like 3 periods a year. max. I was just super irregular. And then so I was like, you know what, let me get my health checked. So I went to the GP, they gave me ovary scan, they took my blood test, and basically they said I had high prolactin, which is a stress hormone that is normally counteracted by dopamine. And I was like, and they said it's stress induced, and they just told me not to stress. And I was just like, okay, are you gonna give me any support on how to stress? How can you just tell me not to stress? So in that, discovering that dopamine is normally the thing that catalyzes prolactin. And because I have ADHD, I already have a low amount of prolactin. I mean, a low amount of dopamine, which isn't able to counteract the stress hormone of prolactin. So prolactin is already high. When prolactin is high, it dysregulates your ovaries and it makes you irregular. And you know, prolactin is also the thing that women have when they lactate, when they're breastfeeding. That's why they don't have their period. Like, bruh, it's like so there's so many like layers to it. But this is more PCOS focused. So in that, I was like, oh, I maybe probably have also ADHD, and ADHD also affects dopamine levels. So if I treat my dopamine levels and ADHD, maybe it will help me get my period back as well. And so I was trying to get on the list and get diagnosed for ADHD. My local surgery was giving me hell. They're like, oh, I have to fill out the form, print it, and bring it in. I'm just like, how does that make sense when I have a computer, you have a computer, I can send it to you via email? Why? I don't even have a printer. Like, what kind of system is this? This is not conducive to ADHD. Like, anyway, ended up getting a surgery appointment and they filled it out for me and sent it off. Again, that waiting list is like 2 years. I need help now. Like, I need to make money now. I need to work. Like, I need to be able to get my shit together now. This is my life we're talking about. I was just tired of waiting on the system to support me that, and they never did. And I ended up, because luckily I was doing well in my business in the following year, so I ended up going private, and that is another nightmare. I paid £800 for a private diagnosis. I did the diagnosis, got the diagnosis, and how it works, then you have to start on a medical trial. So you have to do 3 months of watching to see how you are doing on the medication, and each session is £250. Bear in mind, it's a 20-minute conversation on Zoom. £250, ridiculous. I was like, you know what, I'm halfway there, let me just pay it. So I paid the money now. So I get the medication in the mail, which I have to pay another £80 for. Bro, they are making money. Like, that's why I'm saying, when I tell you don't bother going private, like, it's not worth it. So I ended up paying money, doing the sessions, doing the thing. And then they end up sending me my report that I need to send to my GP to verify that I am dyslexic, and you know, the medications that I'm about to be on, etc., the blood tests and ECGs and stuff I need to do. And why on my report did they write that my full, very African, very Nigerian name is a white Caucasian woman? And the psychiatrist saw me twice on Zoom. I'm not going to expose my full government name, but nothing about my name gives white Caucasian lady. When I tell you I'm furious, I'm crying, I'm emotional. Like, guys, I don't even understand. Like, it's only now that I can talk about it. It took me so long. Just like early 2024. It's something that really affected my mental health, because I've paid you to be my health practitioner. You work in healthcare. Where was the duty and the care in what you did? And this is a report, bear in mind, that you're supposed to proofread, that has my medical information that I have to send to my doctors. How much else is wrong on there that you're just using one template, just to one size fit? Like, you don't even, I paid you £800 plus another 250. That's almost £1,000. And you didn't even have the common decency to proofread the report, my healthcare report. For my whole life, I've been ignored and just been pushed aside. The people I paid to see me and to help me can't even show up in the most basic ways. And you call yourself a doctor, a psychiatrist, whatever, you know that people with this condition is already predisposed to mental health, anxiety, and depression, and you're just making it worse. And don't get me even started about me being a black woman, because this was a data protection breach. Because I started doing research on law, and I went to the medical board, but they didn't help me. They did nothing. The only thing that the center that got me diagnosed did, they just refunded me only the assessment back. They didn't refund me the 250 for the appointment, and they offered to change the person. They didn't do nothing, and I was just like, this is disgusting. I deserve compensation, because when I tell you, like, it caused me so much distress, because it's like being invisible my whole life. I'm thinking, finally I'm getting the help I need, finally people are seeing me and, you know, going to support me. And I've paid. It's different if it was free, and if it was NHS, I would have been like, you know, I could have not even done too much. But I paid almost £1,000. I paid £1,000 for them to put me on my report, my medical report that I have to send to my doctors that I'm a white woman. And this is how black women are 4 times more likely to die because they don't care. They don't care. They're not thinking about it. They don't care. There's no attention to detail. They don't have any. So guys, when I tell you there's trauma upon trauma, like the people that are supposed to help you traumatize you, it's actually ridiculous. When I tell you guys, like, it took me so long to get over that and really advocate for myself. But it was just so annoying because I tried to go to report them to the medical board, and they didn't even want to hear it. When I went to lawyers about it, they're like, it's hard to prove that they cause you mental distress. Like, that's not something that we can easily prove. No one was helping me. Like, I felt so alone. But I got partial my money back. But I was like, don't worry, it's gonna be a time I'm gonna tell my story. And I'm gonna name the ADHD center. Don't ever, even if you're gonna go private, don't ever go there. And I don't remember going private either, because I've heard so many horror stories of people gone private. They wanted to go back onto the NHS, and the NHS says, "Oh, private one isn't valid. We have to do it through the," which is bull crap, because my GP actually said that if I go private, they can work with the private people to help me get onto the medicated, and then the NHS take over. So there's like the whole system when it comes to ADHD is so dodgy. And it's so ill-equipped to actually help ADHD people. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people, because I've been left, like, till this day, I'm still waiting for them to help me. If I've left my hands in those people, I would be dead by now. If I wasn't spiritual, if I didn't know that I was here for a greater purpose, I would have gone, like, because the mental, we're not even talking about the physical turmoil, we're talking about the mental turmoil that having ADHD does to somebody, and just the mind, and not being able to, like, get out of bed, not even to have a shower, not being able to do anything, and just the constant thoughts of just like, why am I here? What's wrong with me? Like, it's too much. It's too much. And I know what it feels like to feel like your body's against you and nothing's working. I had such low energy at one point because of my PCOS. I was so low in vitamin B, so low in all the things that I didn't know. They were doing blood tests, they weren't reading the right things. And eventually I had private healthcare at that point of time, and I was talking to the lady, one of the GPs, about my energy levels has been so, I'm tired all the time and I don't know why. Got a PT, and he was like, eat more. I just gained ridiculous weight, and didn't help, still don't feel good, just ended up gaining weight that didn't be good. Couldn't fit my clothes. It was just so bad. And then the GP said one thing, because I was like, I've been feeling like this for over 6 months. This is not just a thing. Like, and she was like, okay, let's check for your vitamin B levels. And maybe it's vitamin B, because I know, like, a lot of PCOS girls end up being pre-diabetic, so that might be a thing. So as soon as she said that, I just said, okay, what supplements can I use for pre-diabetes? I saw these vitamin B supplements, started taking vitamin B, my life changed. As soon as I started taking vitamin B, all the energy that I didn't have came back. Started losing weight. When I started taking probiotics, started going toilet kind of. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it? This is what I've been missing this whole time? So when I advocate for supplements, I'm not saying it because I'm trying to sell. I'm saying it because this is my life and this is what has worked for me. So when I started taking probiotics, vitamin B, ashwagandha, just all the different supplements that I started taking, and when I tell you, it changed my situation so much. And I'm still on that journey, and I'm still doing better. Even I'm doing a cleanse, like I'm dealing with my candida overgrowth, which is also something that is a fungal infection that's in our gut that ends up giving us brain fog and not being able to focus. I've just been going deeper and deeper and deeper into healing my body and healing my gut, especially because as a PCOS girly, that's also another thing that is all connected. Once we heal our gut, the brain-gut connection is so important, and we're not taught this. A lot of ADHD have really bad guts because we've been so anxious and had the issues with our stomach, and we were living life in fight or flight mode, and that's really affected our bodies and it's destroyed our gut. And then we become vitamin B deficient as well because of just the lack of dopamine, and then we won't even be able to absorb those things. But that's why we need to take supplementation to help us. And honestly, it changed my life, and I felt like I was back in control of my life and back okay again. And I didn't have to wait on the NHS or the private healthcare to give me medication, to do anything for me to be okay. And that was like so freeing for me. And that's why I'm here. Like, I've made this platform. I want to make this community, one, to help others feel like they're not alone and they're seen, and also to help them take power back of their lives and do the things that we know that we're so capable of doing. Because there's one thing about ADHD people, we are so many things, but we're not lazy. We're not inherently lazy, because there's so many things we want to do. There's so many things we're interested in. There's so many things we want to be. So laziness is our like worst enemy. We're not lazy, we're just burnt out. Especially when we get into adulthood, our bodies can't hack and can't mask anymore because it betrayed our boundaries. People please, we've had all these other external traumas and issues, rejection sensitivity, hypersensitivity, everything. There's so many things, anxiety disorder. We've had so many things, like, and that's why I always say, I always believe we've given ourselves grace, because we've still survived, we've still made it this far. And I'm so proud of, myself, and proud of you guys, because this is not the end for us. Medication isn't the only way, it isn't the end all be all. We don't need to leave our hands in the hands of people that don't give a shit about us, that don't care. The NHS doesn't give a shit about me. My school didn't give a shit about me. Private healthcare didn't give a shit about me. I give a shit about me. I'm gonna help me, and I want to help others help themselves when they feel helpless and lost, and like nothing's working for them. And I'm really trying to give them solutions that were always out there, so easily accessible, but we're not educated, we don't know. Because before I knew it was ADHD, I did courses, I did coaching, I did everything, and it never worked. I did dopamine detox, I did this, I did that, it didn't work. It was like for 5 minutes and it wouldn't work. So I knew that this isn't a willpower issue, this isn't laziness, this is a condition that I don't know what it is, and I can't put my finger on it, but I know that this is something, and it's something I need to be able to figure out, and it has its own way to be sorted out. I can't use the neurotypical way. I can't use the way everyone else uses. I have to find out my own way and figure out what works for me. And that's what I feel like a lot of ADHD people, we shame and we guilt ourselves into trying to do things the neurotypical way, especially us women, like trying to do things the men way, when our body and our cycle does not work like that. We're not built like that. And I'm so passionate about finding what works for you, what works for me, because we're all individuals and we need to find our own structure, our own flow, our own energy, our own way to do things, and it doesn't have to look like everyone else's. And we shouldn't be ashamed, we shouldn't be guilted for that. That's why I'm on a mission to create content to educate people, especially ADHD people, on their health, especially women with PCOS, on how to use supplements, use exercise, work on our emotional and mental health, and all the different things that we need to do in order to heal holistically in a whole level, our mind, our body, our soul, and to show up for ourselves the way that we were never showed up for, and to finally take our power back, and to finally be the people that we know we can be. Because yeah, we're different. Yeah, we may be annoying to some people. Yeah, we may be quirky. Maybe be this, maybe that. But we're us. We're unique. We're individual, and the world needs more people like us. I'm here to show up for the people that have felt invisible their whole life and felt like they were alone. I got you. So yeah, this is in a nutshell my story and why I decided to create this community, this brand, or whatever, to help and to get people on the right track and deal with their ADHD in a way that works for them. And this is just the beginning. You may have come across this video because it's in my resource guides that I have for ADHD, or you may have just stumbled because you were searching on YouTube. I have, and I'm creating so much different resources, free resources, paid resources that can help you guys to manage your ADHD, to get better in your life, to know the things that you need to do, and to be part of a community that hears you, validates you, and sees you, and doesn't make you feel like othered and weird, and like you're a weirdo and that you're wrong and that you're just lazy. No, none of that here. No bad energy, no bad vibes. We're all here to help us glow and grow and give ourselves compassion and to show up for ourselves in a way that we want to show up in the world, and not be depressed and anxious and not do the things we don't want to do. So I'm so excited for this journey. I'm so excited for all the other neurodiverse people I'm going to meet and be able to support the different events that I'll potentially be able to do, different meetups, different resources or things or charities and things that can come from this. I can't wait to meet you guys, to help you guys, to hear you guys' stories, and to support you and change the world for us and make it a better place and give ourselves the power that we deserve and validate the future ADHD kids that feel like they're too much, or they're not enough, or have been rejected, isolated, and feel like they're lonely. That's why I'm here. I'm here to show up and support them and create things for us. Another little thing I guess, inner child work, and really validating our inner child, because I feel like as ADHD we always have our inner child with us, even just the way that we act, and we are so like kind of youthful and fun in our energy. I think that's one of our superpowers as well, that we never really let go of our inner child, and I love that about us. So I'm also here to like see those children and nurture them, because if everyone just worked on their inner child, like the world would be such a better place. Anyway, enough of me rambling. This video is long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed, and remember if you could like, subscribe, and share this with people, comment your experience, and I'd love to hear your stories as well. I've been ADHD Baddie. You guys have been amazing. I love you all so much, and have an amazing day.